April 2009, the calm of the Indian Ocean was shattered by an event that would grip the world and become one of the most dramatic rescue stories of modern naval history. Off the coast of Somalia, the Maersk Alabama, a U.S.-flagged cargo ship carrying vital food aid to Kenya, found itself under siege. The vessel was seized by Somali pirates, a brazen act that not only endangered lives, but also challenged decades of maritime security. At the center of this crisis was Captain Richard Phillips, whose name would soon become known across the globe. What began as a routine transoceanic voyage turned into a battle of survival, tactics, and determination. On the morning of April 8th, the USS Bainbridge, a guided missile destroyer commanded by Navy Commander Frank Castellano, was conducting a maintenance inspection when an urgent call pierced the calm. The Bainbridge's Tactical Operations Center reported the Maersk Alabama was under attack. The distress call from Captain Phillips was clear and desperate. "We are being boarded by armed pirates." This message, relayed to the shipping company and through military channels, instantly triggered a cascade of alerts. Major news organizations quickly picked up the story, broadcasting live reports of what was shaping into an extraordinary confrontation on the high seas. According to the earliest accounts, 4 Somali pirates had approached the Maersk Alabama in high-speed skiffs launched from a larger mother vessel. Armed with AK-47s, they moved with precision and speed, targeting the freighter with ruthless intent. What made this case remarkable was not just the boarding itself, it was that this was the first recorded hijacking of a U.S.-flagged ship in over 2 centuries. The pirates' approach was aggressive. Crew members later described the terrifying moment when the intruders stormed the vessel. Many retreated to the engine room, following emergency anti-piracy protocols. Maritime law prevented the crew from carrying automatic weapons, limiting their defensive options. Instead, they relied on strategy and deception. The ship's engineers moved the steering and propulsion controls deep into the engine room, cutting off the pirates' ability to navigate the vessel. Inside the engine room, the crew fought to maintain control. One crew member volunteered to escort the apparent pirate leader to the engine room, drawing him away from the bridge. There, a fierce struggle ensued, and the leader was injured, forcing the attackers into a tense standoff. Despite this resistance, the pirates retained control of Captain Phillips, confining him to a lifeboat, while the rest of the crew was trapped below decks, suffering in sweltering conditions with limited water and supplies. Captain Phillips, aware of the danger to his crew and himself, made a bold decision. He proposed a hostage exchange, returning the injured pirate leader in exchange for the safety of his crew. The pirates agreed, but the deal collapsed at the last moment. Phillips was transferred to a covered lifeboat along with several of his captors, and about $30,000 in the ship's cash was seized. The small lifeboat, measuring just 28 feet, drifted into the open ocean with Phillips as a hostage of 4 armed pirates. This marked the beginning of a tense standoff that would last 5 days, drawing intense attention from the world's media, military strategists, and naval forces. The Maersk Alabama incident quickly became a case study in modern maritime hostage crisis. As the USS Bainbridge moved swiftly toward the scene, the situation evolved into a high-stakes game of negotiation, endurance, and preparation. Pentagon officials and naval commanders began assessing the options. The pirates, meanwhile, were growing desperate. Communication with the Bainbridge revealed their demands: safe passage to Somalia and a ransom of $2 million. But the U.S. Navy was already preparing a far more decisive response, one that would involve America's most elite forces. By April 11th, the lifeboat was adrift in increasingly dangerous conditions. The captain's ordeal, the crew's courage, and the military's unfolding response were all converging toward a moment that would become legendary: the operation that would save Captain Phillips. By the 4th day of the standoff, the lifeboat holding Captain Phillips and his captors had drifted far from the shipping lanes, isolated in the vast expanse of the Indian Ocean. Conditions on board were worsening. Temperatures inside the cramped craft soared past 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and supplies were dwindling. The pirate leader's wound had become infected, further heightening tension. Desperation was spreading among the hijackers, and their communication with the USS Bainbridge grew increasingly erratic. From the Bainbridge, commanders coordinated efforts to bring the crisis to a safe resolution. Negotiations had begun immediately, but the pirates' demands, safe passage and a ransom of $2 million, left little room for compromise. The United States had no intention of yielding to extortion. Instead, planners at the Pentagon prepared a far more direct course of action. This would involve deploying one of America's most elite and secretive units, Navy SEAL Team 6. The decision to deploy SEAL Team 6 was both tactical and symbolic. Rear Admiral Terry McKnight later described it as an extraordinary and unprecedented mission. These operators were trained for high-risk hostage rescues, capable of precision strikes under the most extreme conditions. However, the mission faced staggering challenges. The target was a small, moving lifeboat surrounded by the rolling seas, and the rescuers were themselves on a moving warship. The stakes were further heightened because Captain Phillips' life was in direct danger. On April 12th, the Navy's window for decisive action finally arrived. By then, the lifeboat had exhausted its fuel and was drifting helplessly. The pirates, recognizing their isolation, agreed to be towed by the Bainbridge. This maneuver brought the lifeboat within a perilous but optimal range, just 100 feet from the destroyer. On the Bainbridge's fantail, SEAL snipers prepared for one of the most dangerous shots in military history. The mission required extraordinary precision. It wasn't simply a matter of neutralizing the threat. All three pirates had to be eliminated simultaneously. If even one survived, Captain Phillips' life would remain in jeopardy, and it had to be done in darkness, on rolling seas, from a moving platform. Pentagon testimony later confirmed that President Obama had personally authorized the use of lethal force if Phillips' life was at risk. Through thermal imaging and high-powered optics, the SEAL team observed the pirates' movements with unwavering patience. They waited for the precise moment. Then, as the opportunity presented itself, they acted. 3 rifles discharged almost in perfect unison. Each shot found its target. 3 headshots executed in a single coordinated strike. To those watching, it sounded as though a single bullet had ended the crisis. The lifeboat was instantly silent. Within moments, SEALs fast-roped onto the deck of the vessel, confirming all threats were neutralized. Captain Phillips was freed, physically weakened but alive. The scene underscored the professionalism, discipline, and precision of America's most elite forces. Pentagon spokesperson Jeff Morrell later called the rescue a textbook execution of a high-risk operation. The story of that rescue quickly became legend. The operation was hailed not only as a triumph of military skill, but also as a statement of America's global resolve. It showcased the Navy SEAL ethos, precision under pressure, unrelenting preparation, and commitment to mission above all else. The 2013 film Captain Phillips dramatized these events, bringing the story to millions worldwide and further cementing it in modern military lore. Yet the operation's significance extended far beyond the rescue itself. It was a signal. The United States would not tolerate piracy or the targeting of its citizens. The mission redefined rules of engagement for hostage situations at sea and demonstrated America's ability to project power anywhere in the world. For Navy SEALs, it was a mission that exemplified their identity. Unlike conventional forces, SEAL training forges soldiers capable of executing the impossible under extreme conditions. From rigorous basic training to the infamous Hell Week and advanced combat preparation, SEALs develop unmatched resilience. They are trained to adapt, to improvise, and to operate in chaos, where precision is the difference between life and death. The rescue of Captain Phillips would stand as a defining example of that training. The 3 headshots on the open sea were more than a demonstration of marksmanship. They were proof of America's commitment to protecting its people and a warning to those who threatened them. In the years that followed, piracy in Somali waters declined, thanks in part to a more aggressive U.S. and international naval presence. But more importantly, the operation became a case study in modern hostage rescue, a testament to patience, skill, and decisive action when the stakes could not have been higher. The Captain Phillips mission was not just about saving one man, it was about proving a doctrine that still resonates today. When American lives are in peril, there will be no hesitation, no compromise. The rescue of Captain Phillips did more than end a hostage crisis. It became a defining moment in modern naval warfare, a testament to precision, patience, and the extraordinary capabilities of America's most elite operators. But to fully understand the mission's significance, one must examine what sets Navy SEALs apart from conventional military forces. Conventional U.S. military training transforms civilians into soldiers. Navy basic training, 9 weeks long as of 2025, provides recruits with fundamental discipline, physical conditioning, weapons handling, and basic tactics. However, the SEAL pipeline pushes far beyond this foundation. For those chosen to join their ranks, basic training is only the beginning. Candidates face pre-BUD ES conditioning, basic underwater demolition/SEAL training, BUD ES, and SEAL qualification training, SQT. Combined, these stages last nearly a year of grueling physical and mental conditioning. BUD S is notorious as one of the toughest training programs in the world. It strips recruits to their core, testing endurance, adaptability, and resolve. Among its trials is the infamous Hell Week, 5.5 days of relentless training with fewer than 4 hours of sleep. Candidates are pushed through freezing surf, brutal physical tasks, and constant psychological pressure. By the end of Hell Week, only a quarter of the candidates remain. The rest have been eliminated by exhaustion, injury, or sheer inability to endure. But SEAL training doesn't stop there. Even after graduation, operatives undergo over a year of specialized instruction: combat diving, advanced marksmanship, demolitions, close quarters battle, intelligence gathering, tactical mobility, and survival skills. Every skill is sharpened for missions that are unpredictable, dangerous, and often classified. This intensive preparation is what enabled the SEALs to execute the Captain Phillips rescue with such precision. They operated under conditions few could imagine, firing from a moving ship at another moving vessel, at night, on rolling seas with only seconds to decide. They coordinated 3 simultaneous headshots, a feat requiring flawless timing, extraordinary marksmanship, and nerves of steel. Retired SEAL sniper instructor Brandon Webb described the operation as arguably the most difficult hostage rescue ever conducted. The rifles used, modified SR-25 sniper systems, offered the balance of accuracy and rate of fire necessary for such a mission. Every factor, the distance, the motion of the ships, the darkness, the potential threat to Captain Phillips, made success far from guaranteed. Yet, the SEALs delivered. The operation reverberated far beyond the Indian Ocean. It sent a powerful message to allies and adversaries alike. The U.S. was willing to project power globally, to defend its citizens and commercial interests, and to confront piracy with overwhelming force. For Somali pirates, the event changed the calculus entirely. It demonstrated that targeting American ships invited not negotiation, but decisive military action. In the years that followed, incidents of piracy in the region dropped significantly, in part due to an escalated naval presence and coordinated anti-piracy patrols. The Captain Phillips rescue also became a cultural milestone. The story was adapted into the critically acclaimed film Captain Phillips, starring Tom Hanks, which brought global attention to the operation. It became a case study in leadership, crisis management, and military capability. For the U.S. Navy and SEAL Command, it became part of their legacy, a demonstration of patience, precision, and the willingness to act decisively when lives hang in the balance. But the lessons extend far beyond this single operation. In today's evolving geopolitical environment, with rising maritime threats, shifting alliances, and the rapid militarization of new arenas, missions like this remain instructive. They underscore the importance of preparedness, adaptability, and the human will to succeed under pressure. For SEALs, the mission reaffirmed their creed: no mission is too difficult when the stakes are life and liberty. For the world, the Captain Phillips rescue became more than a news story. It was a vivid example of the power of elite forces, the value of training, and the lengths a nation will go to protect its people. Those 3 perfect headshots in the dead of night remain etched in military history, not just for their technical brilliance, but for what they represented: courage under fire, unwavering resolve, and a clear message to the world that America's reach is vast and its commitment to defending freedom unyielding. This mission was not merely about one ship, one captain, or one confrontation. It was about establishing a precedent, a doctrine of decisive action in defense of human life and national interest. And that doctrine remains alive today, guiding the Navy SEALs in every mission they undertake. Thank you for watching. Share your thoughts on this extraordinary rescue in the comments below. If you found this story compelling, watch our next documentary on how SEAL Team 6 obliterated Somali pirates, or check out our other featured military operations.